Hi, it's Mark here. Welcome to this episode of West Coast Supercars and Classics. Today we're out in beautiful Dallas Road in Victoria, checking out this lovely 1973 Volvo P1800 ES. The total number of Volvo P1800s that was produced between 1961 and 1973 was 39,407, and they produced 8,077 of the ES models. These were only produced between 1972 and 1973, so they're a fairly rare car. The P1800 was made famous in the early 60s by the TV show The Saint, which starred Roger Moore.
Barbara, I want you to go to my flat and wait. Don't let anybody in except me, understand?
During all the years of production, the engine sizes changed and the engine output changed naturally. They started out with a 1778cc engine, and they moved all the way up to a 1986cc engine. The most powerful model they produced was the Sport model, which produced 130 horsepower. This model, stock, produced 125 horsepower, so it was downgraded a bit for this model. The steering wheel is low, the dashboard's low. Let's see, not used to this gearbox, but you know, every gearbox is different. The gearbox seems really far forward, and reverse is up and to the left, which it is in my Porsche as well on the 911. This has a 4-speed gearbox with an overdrive, and there's a lever for the overdrive over here. This is the overdrive lever apparently. Oh, I see, and there's a light that comes on the dash, a green light when you turn the overdrive on, so that's helpful. We're trying to use the air conditioning. This car does have some air conditioning, factory air conditioning. If you look down here on the dash, underneath the dash, there's an air conditioning unit down there, and then your defrost vents and everything are down here. If you look there, you press these levers, and those control your different vents. I don't know if they're working or not, but anyway, those would be. This steering wheel seems to be obviously not original to the car. What else? Everything else seems to be pretty original. The visors here, the headliner is all original. You can see it's a little bit beat up here, so as part of restoration, I guess one would have to look at that as a project, but that's not a huge deal. We're driving through Victoria's James Bay right now on the way to Dallas Road, just to get some scenic footage. How would you say the ride quality is so far, Gloria? What do you think for around town? Noise levels, ride quality?
The engine's not too noisy.
No, it isn't noisy. What do you think of the ride quality?
It's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's quite comfortable.
Yeah.
Compared to the other car we have. This is a Pussycat, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the gauges here are where you'd expect them to be. You've got a tachometer on the far left over here. That seems to go up to 6,000 RPM. Now we're on Dallas Road here. So getting back to the dashboard here, you've got your tachometer, you've got your oil temperature, water temperature, and then on the right hand side you've got your speedometer and your odometer. This car is showing about 140,000 miles, which is because these cars were only sold in the US. I don't think they were sold in Canada, so you wouldn't get them in kilometers in North America. Here in the center of the dash, you have, well, again, as I said, you have an oil temperature gauge in engine has been bored out to 2.1 liters, and it produces apparently about 150 horsepower. Now we can talk about the performance of this car. At the time these were produced, they weighed about 1,125 to 1,175 kilograms, which is between 2,500 and 2,700 pounds. So these are pretty small cars. I'm just going to pull in over here. What we're looking at ahead there, that's the Olympic Peninsula, looking across the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Or do you call it Juan de Fuca? I don't know. Anyway, this is a pretty fun little car, actually. It's quite comfortable. It's got lots of room if you need room for all your gear, if you're going on a day trip or something, right? Put your deck chairs in the back, no problem. Visibility is very good. The view out the rear view mirror is good. Side mirrors work well. Visibility is good out the front. Actually, you know what? For a vintage car, because this is a 1973 car, right? So what are we looking at? 44 years old, is that right? It's not so bad. It's actually pretty cool. I have no idea where we're going now. I guess I better go back. I find with manual steering, once you get rolling, it's fine. Like, you get used to the steering effort that it requires. It's really not such a big deal. Remember, people used to drive cars like this all the time back in the day. I'm just going to turn around. This is the way a lot of cars came back in the day. And this car, here I'm doing it for you right now. You'll see what it's like. I'm just reversing and going. So, you know, honestly, if you drive, you could drive an expensive vintage Ferrari, which I have driven in. A friend of mine had a 512 TR, Ferrari 512 TR, and the thing had manual steering, and it's a fairly big car. It's bigger than this one, because this, remember, weighs what, 2,700 pounds. His weighed, you know, considerably more than that, and it had big fat tires and manual steering. So you can imagine, you know, driving a vintage Ferrari, guess what? You're going to have exactly the same sensation as driving something like this. The other thing I like about this car is the ride quality. It's actually really reasonable. This road that we're going on right now is fairly atrocious, and it is bumping a little bit, but it's not jarring at all. So I would class this as, for a sports car, I would say this has a very nice ride, actually. A little bit on the stodgy side for feeling. Like, it does not feel like a lithe, nimble, you know, go-kart or something like that. We used to drive a Miata, and the Miata is like a go-kart. That has a wonderful light feel to it. Everything's really responsive. This thing is a little bit different. It feels a little bit heavier, more serious. And I haven't had a chance to drive this in a spirited way, and I don't have permission from the owner to do that. So there's not a whole lot of pep. Like, I'm in second gear here, 2,500 RPM. Just give it some gas here. There's not a whole lot happening on this cam right now at this speed. Let's try the cornering a little bit. This car is not going to scare you when you floor it. It's not gonna be a widowmaker, you know. I'd like to thank Peter Landsman, the owner of this car, for letting us take it out for a test drive today. That was very nice of him. From what I know about Peter, well, he's got an interesting history. Peter actually owns Landsman Motors in downtown Victoria on Fiskard Street and Store Street. And they're a Volvo specialist. He runs it with his son. And Peter's had this particular car since 1980. Remember, this is a 1973. He bought it in Ontario, and he restored it in 1981. So it had some rust, I guess, some rust issues, so the fenders were new and stuff like that, and it was painted in apparently 1981. So he's maintained maintained it since then. So this has been one of Peter's personal drivers for all those years. And I happened to walk by a few days ago, and he had brought the car. It was actually Friday, and he had brought the car to the shop, and we were downtown, and so I saw it there, and I just went in and asked if I could take some shots of it, and he mentioned that it was for sale. So as a matter of fact, this car is also on the market. So if you're interested in this particular car, this 1973 Volvo P1800 ES with 140,000 miles on it, got lots of mods, you can contact Peter Landsman at Landsman Motors in Victoria, BC. And tell him you heard about it on my channel, West Coast Supercars and Classics. Of course. We thank you for watching the show today, our little exploration of the Volvo P1800. And we thank you for watching West Coast Supercars and Classics. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and do share with your friends. Thanks again.